Here we have it, Taco. Game 2 is here. And we wanted to talk about potential contested battles, potential fights that are happening. We already saw Kanata and Agers have an early game engagement. It seems like Cooper and Miro have a difficult time happening here up against Sinetto and Veer.
Sinetto and Veer challenging the likes. Well, I say challenge, but that didn't look too problematic as far as Cooper is concerned. Just wins that initial 50-50. Off spawn, got to the weapons first, and now at the Marigold, Cooper, Miro, more than happy to just take their time looting out the entirety of the yacht here. Same story can't be said though for Baka. No eyes on Pars. Have to assume that this has been a one-for-one trade so far. Aaron not gonna look for the revive opportunity just yet. Wants to see if he can get this wraparound instead onto Baka. Take advantage some of those chuck barrels, and now trying to close in onto Baka. But again, early enough, Baka can still make the recovery for Pars off a reboot van if he wins this initial engagement. Game number 1 did not go the way of Baka and Pars. Game number 2 though, Baka trying to get aggressive here. Now trying to force his way into Aaron's box, but Aaron just so wisely utilizing this building over by the Reclaim Villa to keep himself safe for the time being. But Baka, again, just overhead. And he needs to win off this engagement, MDF. He wants to actually start out the match this time, playing through as a duo.
Yeah, but smartly and wisely backs off here to get a little bit more material. Aaron snipes up what gets, spawned out of his teammate's body as well, along with the card. And look at this, Baka with the ambush play up above here. A little sneaky, but he's completely out of mass. Has to edit his way down, and it's another great spot for him to be in here. All in all, there's a couple of ways that he could play this out, but we might be seeing the story flip to the other side of the shoe here now, as again, Cooper and Miro actually were one of the first teams eliminated last game. Baka and Pars as well. Can they turn this around? I mean, Baka has a difficult task in front of him, and if he's gonna stand around here, I mean, the risk is gonna continue to rise. But he's just trying to get material, but every time he swings his way out into the open, he doesn't feel safe. He's using it a lot sooner than he'd like. And Aaron now, recognizing that he has a chance here to push in. He's found Baka again. He goes for it. Hits the cone, and that's the difference with having just a little bit more material there.
The other problem, too, for Baka is he just doesn't have a shotgun. You've got Aaron with the Frenzy Auto. Aaron trying to close in. Baka still looking to put in work, but this Hyper SMG just paling in comparison. Still, Baka rolling out on top here. Revenge established for Pars. Now it's going to be all about that reboot card into the reboot van opportunity. Agers and Kanata, though, might find the run ending here shortly as Agers does go down to the likes of Hound and Aiden. Another team successful with our initial off spawn. And these are some massive battles that are brewing here, because we had our hunches in game number 1 about Agers and Kanata being contested at their drop when they initially weren't expected to be. So
yeah, but it's looking like there's even more going on there, because not only did they already have eliminations, Hound came out of nowhere. That's a completely new team that has decided to rotate into that, and that's what happens, adjustments to adjustment, right? Game to game, players are going to recognize, oh look, Agers and Kanata land right here. It seems like they're contested. Maybe we should have rotated that way, right? And look, all of a sudden now game 2, things are looking pretty tough for Kanata and Agers.
Chimp and Scissor, though, things actually looking a little bit beneficial here. Chimp finding a massive blow there onto Piggle. And this is a huge swing against Jiven, because when you factor in the eliminations acquired by that duo, Jiven and Piggle, throughout the course of semis, Piggle had 19 of their total 22 team eliminations. So it's going to be quite the uphill journey for Jiven to recover this one.
Last time we tuned in with Dan Redux, they were taken out early on by the hands of Epic Whale and Clicks. This time it's X-Pawn and Mew who take the fight here. Day, his back is against the wall. Can he earn any points here for the second game? It's not looking too hot, as X-Pawn has a huge HP lead at the moment. Day left to run here, scrambling for any scrap of resource, and Mew still has his down teammate there too, and this might be the mistake of the push here. He's given Day enough time to already start to regenerate some more shield, and Day does have a med kit here, but look at the piece up from X-Pawn. It's looking great. The Day is absolutely ready here.
X-Pawn has to be hyper aggressive though, unless he wants to try and find this last minute revive, but not going to be able to make it to Mew in time. So a true 1v1 due to take place here at the Rebels Roost, but Day actually finding a decent little loot pickup. Have to imagine that was Redux's loot that Day was able to take advantage of. Crash pad out. What I was going to say, MDF, is that if Day and X-Pawn take too long, keep in mind, there's still that rotate coming out of Clicks and Epic Whale from Lavish Lair. We know how often that duo loves to rotate towards Rebels Roost. So X-Pawn and Day have got to figure it out who's going to be the duo that gets you in there, because it won't be long before Clicks and Epic Whale try to sniff them out. It's Forecast Towers, all due to be claimed here. Ritual and Reet collecting their standard one, given that the Forecast Tower southeast of Reckless Railways is the only one with a 100% spawn-in rate.
You can see 2AM Zavi here just sitting back, too wary to go for the potential NPCs in the forecast. They're not possibly worth the risk. He weighs his options. Batman Booga and Rapid on the other side continue to be contested on their drop, and now have seemingly picked up an elimination, but they have more to worry about here. As not only is there a solo nearby, but there's a team lurking, looking down from up above. It's Bryce, it's Chubbs, who were also equally contested there, and it seems like although they won their fight, Bryce tries to come here to the hillside to play for a pickup, and there's still too many players lurking about.
That's the issue. You've got the likes of Batman Booga and Rapid rotating to Hazy Hillside from their drop at Research Rock.
And actually, it's Iamzo and Rise who are looking in, ready to fight for the zone here.
Not too surprising, though, when you factor in Iamzo and Rise dropping over by Lil Villa. They definitely have access towards trying to find third party or even just damage opportunities. Rapid, though, gonna run straight into Iamzo's bush. It's Rapid forced into a handful of panic builds now, but does regain some control of the situation. Does still have his duo directly next to him. As Rise and Iamzo look to try and create some space, move off to a separate hill here by the Hazy Hillside. And that's gonna default Rapid and Batman Booga to actually go down the hill face. Make sure they get out of the line of sight there from Rise and Iamzo on their rotate.
Get an update with Clicks and Epic Whale here. I would love an update on Muzz and Paper potentially as well, as we see our elimination point leaders and our overall placement point leaders are all sitting up at the top. Take a look here. Speaking about that top 10, our 8th place Sovzi has been already dropped and taken out here. So things will shake up, and we have a long game still in front of us. Clicks here deciding what he wants to do. He's got Violet to the right. He makes the call out. Hey, Quanti's by himself. Let's go for it. And they immediately jump in. And looks Clicks wary of the teammate to come in as well. I'm sure he's hoping he would have hit those shots there. And the advantage they have is now gone. And this is going to really tell us a lot about how they're feeling on the day. I was going to say whether or not they finish this fight or back off is going to be so important to the play style that they're looking to execute on, and they're going to back out. So what we're getting from this, what we're downloading from this, is that they want to play for the long haul. You have to respect it. Here's that update we were looking for.
It's just too massive of a body of water, and with the other hillside being so open, Clicks Epic, Quanti, and Bila probably just recognizing the fact that this is not a very fruitful engagement for either of us, because it's just so easy for another team to possibly third-party take advantage of, essentially wipe them both out. So I respect the desire there from Clicks and Epic to want to be a little bit more cautious, trying to maintain those top 10 placements throughout the course of today.
Oh, look at this. Acorn, 2 eliminations. However, they are pressured down as Cole gets taken out, and actually they have 4 as a duo. So this has been an incredibly hot start for them right now, and it's cost them so much. Acorn once again with no shield. There hasn't been a single time we've jumped in with him and seen them fully comfortable, fully situated. It's always been one thing or another, and this time it's Peterbot and Pollo who are giving them a run for their money. Peterbot and Pollo are one of the most, turned up teams in the semifinals. They were just pushing through lobby after lobby, making it look so easy. And they're continuing that pace, that aggression here for game number 2 of the NA Grand Finals.
And poor Acorn as well. This is a true rags versus riches situation. You can see all the material, max mats there from Peterbot. Have to imagine that Pollo is essentially maxed out as well, full cap on those builds. Acorn gonna finally get an opportunity here now that Peterbot and Pollo have rotated out, but Acorn definitely having to keep in mind that there is at least one team close by. Still, at least he will be able to reap some of the benefits of these drawn out engagements, but sometimes too much action can definitely be detrimental there. And even though Acorn and Cold were able to find those 4 elims early on, if Acorn isn't able to recover Cold via reboot Van MDF, seriously have to question how that solo performance is going to go, because not having your duo this early on could definitely make for a challenging mid-game.
Yeah, nearly impossible, if you will. We saw how difficult things got last game for even the likes of Re and Ritual, just try to find surge tags at some given point in the game. Jeff and Oliver OG, though, looking very healthy here in between this little low ground position, trying to stay low as far as their profile and presence is concerned. For Yamzo and Rise, they've made their way from the outskirts on into the new zone, and they find themselves completely situated, actually, with a healthy amount of material, ammunition, extra heals. I'm wondering if whether or not they need to fight, though, because of the fact they don't have eliminations here. That might be their biggest drawback. Oof. He's going to be upset about that, but you see the returning fire. No hesitation. And the sniper shots coming back here. But hey, Taco, look, we have activity everywhere. Even Clicks lighting up the feed. Let's take a look at that elimination.
Can't say it's too surprising. Clicks with the Mythic Frenzy just completely running down Freeze. Freeze and Sus falling to the likes of Epic and Clicks, though. That's definitely going to be a pretty big pickup as far as their surge damage threshold is concerned. But Ritual finding themselves in a bit of an engagement here, just underneath the Rift Island. The other thing to keep in mind as will take this Rift up, not necessarily to challenge on the island, but does seem as though and Ritual would like to look for an opportunity to maybe farm out some brick. Rift Island could definitely be great for that. Even if there are other teams contesting it, you can just look to try and trade damage, as long as you don't find yourself getting knocked or fully limbed in the process. Acorn and Cold, though. Acorn's rescue mission a success, as Cold is back up and running, but they are so far south of where the zone is at. Refarming materials, Monster, on top of making that rotation in the first place, where every other team is going to have priority positioning over you. Quite the battle remains still for Acorn and Cold in this one.
And no grapple hook either, just worth mentioning. It's going to be a long while before they get to the safety. You can see that's actually them here, moving up from the flank of Duke. Little do they know, there's a lot of attention looking this way as teams are hunting for Duke, so they do have to be very careful here with how they enter into the zone. And I think they're picking up what we're putting down here as they're starting to edge their way around the outskirts. So for Duke, though, you have to assume things went terribly wrong here, because he has quite the loadout, a loadout that should not be one to where you'll be missing a teammate here. So with threats being eliminated, he too is going to have to probably play into the zone right now to play for a pickup. He surely has the heals and the sustainability to go the distance.
Duke right now kind of just rummaging through the remains of what looked to have been a pretty intensive Oxfight battle. But again, just outside that edge of zone, you can see how many teams are already situated up on some of these hills now, facing around the Ritzy Riviera. Cooper, Miro, rather impressive Skybase themselves. as Cooper will opt to go to the top of his. Try and gauge out if there's any teams they can look to try and hold on the edge of where they're currently situated, but a lot of pressure as well on Cooper and Miro when you really boil it all down, MDF. I mean, coming off of that global championship win, you know that this team wants to replicate that sensation of being the champions.
This just works out perfectly for them right here, as Cooper was so wary of the bases up top. You could tell he was playing specifically for it. We just mentioned the fact that Acorn and Cold had to be wary of the fact that Duke was playing Storm, and it seems like they count him out first. Cold nearly gets taken out once again there. However, I'm sure they're going to be extremely happy about the material pickup here and the loadout now delivered for Cold. So that's going to effectively put them right back into this game here. And they're at 5 eliminations, so one can assume that even if they don't get a lot of placement points, this game is not a dud by any means. These elims are extremely, extremely important. Here goes the big rotate, though. Just going to put them right back into the mix of things.
Again, still so much ground to cover. Granted, crash pads with the Flowberry Fizz will help mitigate some of those troubles, but got to make sure to land on them. Unfortunate there for Acorn. Cold does have a grapple, though, just off of Duke's body. As for the rest of the lobby, though, that's already managing to stay more in line with where these zones are pulling. Skittles, Trashy, forced to the low ground for the time being, but they definitely want to try and work their way up. Will find themselves a nice bush here to kind of poison for the time.
What a zone. This is going to pull through the body of water, and all these players up here that thought they were playing for dead side rotate, wrapping all the way around the outskirts, find themselves met with 3, 4, 5 other duos trying to, you know, simulate the same exact strategy. There are no free rotations in the FSCS Grand Finals lobby. That's why you have to truly appreciate teams that can execute well and do it without taking any casualties. G Money as well finds his own teammate down, and he's so wary. In fact, he doesn't even want to go for the pickup at this exact moment, right? He's waiting it out. He's making absolutely sure the coast is clear, and the zone continues to put the pressure on. So look at that. He won't even be able to save him.
Right now, G-Money throwing that med kit up, trying to keep some of the resources close to him. Can't carry everything as a solo, so toss forward what you need. That way you don't have to stay inside of that storm, eating some of the tick damage that goes along with it. I like this, though, from Clix and Epic. Crash pad. Gonna help them essentially just catapult themselves immediately into the edge of the next zone. And they're actually gonna take this moment, turn back now, see if there's any other teams they can look to hold. But Clix, he's wary of this duo that's up on the hill. It's gonna be Blake and Macwood, just west of where Clix and Epic are currently at. They're not content with their position. They want to go even further.
Yeah, Clix is actually holding that sniper out there. He was trying to see if Blake or Macwood would get a little too anxious and over peak there, as he noticed they were firing out to the left and right. One small mistake and you never know who's got their eyes on you, and someone like Clix, who's been running sniper all season long, is definitely due for a big tag on stream. For Quanti and Bilo, they're continuing the pacing here after a close call against Clix and Epic Whale, so this might be a full story coming around here as far as the engagements are concerned. But take a look at the rotate here. Free as day here on the beach as Quanti's getting himself completely situated. This is a huge, huge way for him to get right back into the game. But first, an update from the twins here. Bugha and Aviv dressed for success right now, as they're sitting dead center. Do they have the forecast tower is my question at this point.
Would not surprise me, given their current positioning. It's rather bold to go into center of zone. So for Bugha and Aviv to want to set themselves up definitely would lead me to believe that they probably know a little bit more than what some of these other duos might be wary of. They got to make sure that they can keep that damage threshold well above. Pollo, Peterbot, also waiting to see If anybody dares step to them, more than happy to try and get some tags of their own. Acorn and Cole, they finally found their way back to the thick of the action here and waste no times in taking out all of our OG.
Not only that, they secure the loot. Most importantly, they get to pick up all of that loot there. Reed and Ritual was sitting right up above them, but I don't believe there was any resistance there as Reed actually gets knocked to the hands of Rise here. What happened? They were rotating. How do you get a knock in the middle of a rotation is a question to be answered for a later time. However, Ritual will get the pickup. Rise contemplating whether or not it's worth pushing into, and he's going to investigate, but no luck there. He's a little too late to the party. And Rise has to play this one out by himself right now. Now, with 25 duos remaining in the game here, he is just now getting to the point to where placement points will start to add up. Iamzo and Rise did a lot of damage to get this far here, so they'll be comfortable for a second, but Cooper and Miro edging their way up underneath the bases of Re and Ritual and Muzz and Paper next door. Keep your eyes on the field for that potential clash.
Muzz and Paper is the main one to keep an eye out for. They're on the same exact layer as Rise as well. So definitely a solid chance that they might even just run directly into him from going forward. And I think that's why we see Rise now opting to try and crank up, but Muzz, Paper, all too quick with it. They're going to go for the instantaneous chop. They've got their eyes set on height. They want to be the first ones to strike. They're not going to let Rise hold this high ground, especially not if they're able to account for the fact that he's a solo, if they've been able to keep tabs on that Elim feed. No way to really tell just yet, but as the zone continues to pool, Rise, he's at least got a little bit above the damage threshold, so as a solo, he's probably going to want to wait for all these teams to rotate first and then just try to sneak on by and try to hang out through the backside of the zone.
But look at the aggression. He knows that he needs a refresh here. He knows he has to make a big play. He jumps into the box, gets the finish, gets the material, and now he has an actual chance here. Not only that, with the clean escape, breaks out the side with the grapple hook. This is a player that is willing to fight for it and to put it all on the line, but no, little too soon, too early with the rotate to the front side of zone, as positioning is of course key, and he finds the lobby looking right at him. Wow. What is this though? A huge find is gonna put him right back in the game for a second.
Somebody's got just like a little burrow hoisted up in the middle of nowhere.
He doesn't trust it.
He's definitely wary, but it doesn't matter. The loot has already been secured, and despite having been heavily punished for that maneuver where he tries to grapple to frontside low, no surprise that the entire lobby would look at Rise in the process. It's just incredible stuff that he didn't get knocked. Just like how Muzz fell shortly. Paper trying to keep things going, but he's not going to have a chance to revive Muzz. Simply too far in here. He's going to have to leave his duo behind. Don't even think he had a chance to collect any of the materials left over from Muzz. Now Paper knows he's just got to get ahead of where this zone pool is going.
He was just a couple moments away from being able to secure that loot, but he finds a new body instead. And there goes the material a little bit, but the material he needed nonetheless there. And Paper is right back into this game here. And we called it. We knew Miro and Cooper were eyeing them up, but look at high ground. Clips and Epic Whale once again going for a high ground retake here. This is the second game in a row now. So bold and accurately actually managed to take this high ground this time around, and it is theirs for the time being, but Clips doesn't have a lot of material, so he has to turn and burn on the lobby. Although he has limited medium ammo, he has so much light ammo to work with on the low ground. Cold and Acorn from the depths coming back into the game here against all odds now are at 6 eliminations, front side of low ground zone. Arguably some of the pioneers of this type of play style in motion in endgame right now.
Aviv and Booga though looking to give the low ground a little bit of a challenge here. Aviv, Booga likely also gonna opt for a high ground take if their chance arises. But inside the depths of the congestion, inside of some of these lower layers, Clicks, Epic, they'll be picked off as Ritual now look to try and overtake front side low. Cooper and Miro directly next to them is also tarping through front side low. Peterbot and Pollo, though, not trying to let anybody have fun underneath them. They've got so much suppressive fire going into these low ground builds.
Worth noting, Paper is still alive as well in the zone. He makes it well into the top 10 now for another game. Absolutely incredible as he was by himself and he falls to the hands of Miro, of Cooper, who, by the way, were taken out from 45th in game number 1. Here for game 2, their fight, they wait all the way back into the top 10 and plenty of eliminations to boot for it, to show for it as well. Pollo and Peterbot making up for this time too. Finds Chimp here on the high ground, and this is all but their game to lose at this point as they have all of the momentum here in their favor.
Can't ever count out Aviv and Booga, though. Aviv with that Frenzy Auto, gonna make quick work of Scissor. Will manage to pick up the material, but at the expense of his white HP, at least the Flowberry Fizz will get Aviv back to full shield. Aviv and Booga now just trying to tarp directly underneath Peterbot and Pollo. Behind Peterbot, though, he spots out Cooper, who's trying to play spoiler to the high ground. Minimal chop, but it's gonna be Peterbot, Pollo, challenging Booga, Aviv. Aviv knocked inside of the bush. Peterbot, Pollo, they know it's just them versus Booga. Booga can't make it happen this time. Peterbot, Pollo finding the victory royale here in match number 2.
It's almost like Peterbot had X-ray vision. He just pre-fires the bush. He says, you know what, Booga, there's only so many places you can be, and he does not miss finding the wonderful tag there to close the game out. And just like that, it was only a matter of time before Booga, Aviv, Cooper, Miro, and all the other big dogs make their way into the next game and into an end game, most importantly. And look at that. The favorites are up at the top now.
Definitely looking very chaotic, though. Neither the low ground or the high ground were ever really all that safe or confirmed. It wasn't until really that final moving zone that we see Pollo and Peterbot finally managing to overtake on height. And yeah, Aviv getting knocked inside of the bush. Realistically, there's only one spot that Booga is going to look to try and hide out in to turn this in his favor. But a 1 versus 2 up against Peterbot and Pollo, I mean, come on, MDF.
Yep, it was just a matter of time. Congratulations to Peterbot and Pollo as they take this game number 2. And my gosh, FNCS does not disappoint by any means. We are off to a very explosive start, and we're seeing some of the best clash it out.
Yeah, just honestly really looking forward to see how the rest of today shapes up. But we got to get it back to the desk to figure out how that leaderboard is looking after match number 2.